You and I are both on that list, and I'm convinced that they shot themselves in the foot with this, because we've got millions of people out there that are trying to wake up. Here we've got Newsweek, they're losing their subscribers. I dare say that Alex Jones, that his audience is expanding by leaps and bounds. And I think, I've been doing quite a bit of talk radio and such around, and I think that people are tuning in to Alex Jones because they don't accept Washington Post and Newsweek and Time and such anymore, because they have been betrayed so many times. And so people are studying the Constitution. They see that free speech, and of course, the ACLU and such, they've been pushing free speech and First Amendment for a long time. And now they want to work against themselves. They're working against themselves with some of this stuff that they're putting out. I'm a real optimist, as you well know, and I think that that the scoundrels, if we get our grand juries back, and they're coming, and of course we've got that Dr. Manning, the black pastor in that church in Harlem, that is coming out and spelling things out. The guy is as solid as the Rock of Gibraltar, and he's got an audience. And I just, the scoundrels are losing it. And of course, SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, what they did, they give these millions of Americans that are just waking up to what's happening and how dangerous the situation is. It give them a list of things that they need to, people that they need to contact.
Let me add to that. I keep hearing from military officers, law enforcement officers, even mid-level and high-level, and they keep saying, I tuned in because in a military or law enforcement briefing, they were demonizing you, Mr. Jones, specifically, saying you wanted police and military killed. That's their big lie against me. They lie and say I'm calling for violence.
Yeah.
And they tune in to hear about, to hear this evil person, and they find out it's the opposite. Then they know they were lied to by that ADL, Southern Poverty Law Center, internal material. And I've been making that point all week, the point you just made. They're so arrogant. Don't they know when they come out and say, strip citizens of their citizenship, don't let citizens buy guns if we say so, arrest citizens, take their guns? That's why 18 million guns have been sold in the last year and a half. I mean, don't they? I think these people are somewhat delusional, Red. I don't think they realize that when they tell cops that I'm here on air saying murder all police, and then the cops tune in and find out it's a lie, don't they understand they're destroying themselves?
It just seems like there's an insanity on their part, and it is an insanity, too, because they're not looking at reality. And if they think that they can go out and seize the guns from the American people, boy, have they got a surprise.
Yeah, and I'm not looking for that surprise. I mean, they can try to incrementally ban this person on a gun and SWAT team that guy that has a gun. But if 1% of gun owners stood up, that's over 1.5 million people, and it's over.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, Alex, they are outnumbered big time. And, we've got over 25 million military veterans in this country. It's been over 50 years since I was in there, but I haven't forgot a lot of it, and I wouldn't be worth much, but we've got a lot of younger ones out there, and the ones I talk to are just absolutely angry to the point they just they're waiting for something to break loose, and they're gonna be sure, and they're gonna be sure to be on the right side, and that's our side.
Well, that's the big.
Be on the side of the folks back home.
Absolutely, be on the right side of history. I mean, we are at such a crossroads, and we're here and have a fighting chance, Red, because of you and others fighting them for over 55 years.
Yeah, it's just, I tell people all the time, back in the mid-'70s, I was pretty lonesome in saying what I was saying. I'm not lonesome anymore. Anybody up in the Northwest or anywhere in the country, in Montana, a low population state, at the University of Montana Field House, the 21st and 22nd of May, they're expecting 5,000 people there.
Stay there. Got a break. Folks, this is the type of news pouring across my desk. NBC Miami, suspicious package, TSA worker jailed after joke. MIA worker assaults colleague who made crack at genitalia after walking through machine. They wave good-looking women in, sit there and laugh. They record the naked images. They do it with movie stars. And they make a joke at the end of the article about, well, he had a small, it says, but if this latest incident is any indication, the scanners sound like good news for anti-terrorism and bad news for less than average men. So now they're just admitting, yeah, we're going to record your genitals and we're going to laugh at them and we're going to arrest you if you don't like it. And they make the TSA workers go through it, too, to teach them to be slaves. Going back to Red Beckman, you were talking about an Oath Keeper rally that's supposedly going to have 5,000 people at it in Missoula, Montana. That's just out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, everywhere, people are rediscovering the Constitution and discovering the bankers that are taking over.
The Oath Keepers, Chuck Baldwin is going to be there, and of course Richard Mack, the former sheriff in Arizona, and of course I plan to be there. There'll be four of the speakers that I know of off of SPLC's top 40. They're at that rally, and it's going to be a great rally of freedom lovers. And these one-worlders, when do they ever put anything together with that kind of a crowd?
Absolutely, they are really getting scared. Going back to legislation in Congress moving quickly, Bloomberg saying, just let us put anybody we think is an extremist on a list, and you can't buy a gun outside of law. I mean, they're really getting bold. You're an expert.
Nervous. They're panicking.
Well, as an expert on the Constitution, Red Beckman, I mean, how many areas of the Constitution, Bill of Rights, does this violate? I mean, that's one of the main reasons for 1776 was the king was doing similar things back then.
Absolutely, and the rights that we, the people, the powers which we, the people, enumerated in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. We gave certain powers to the national government. If those powers are abused, if those powers are unused, those powers go back to the people. That's the 10th Amendment. We reserve those powers. If those powers are not properly administered by the government, they come back to us. Montana history, they've got a history, of course, a heritage. Back in 1862 or 3, the gold miners, their gold was being stolen by a gang, and they found out that the gang was the head of the gang was the local sheriff that had been elected as sheriff. They took him out and they hung him. Well, you see, this was they just retrieved the powers that they had delegated to the sheriff, and he was misusing them, and so the people took the powers back. And we've got an international precedent that we really need to bring out and tell the people about. And back in 1989, all of Eastern Europe was in an uproar. Poland and Hungary and all. And on Christmas Eve in Romania, in Budapest, the people took to the streets, and they'd had a long-time communist dictator, and the people took to the streets. They'd had enough. And the old dictator, he thought, well, I'll show them. And so he sent the military. He told the military to go and clear the streets. And the military, their unit started down the street with their tanks and their troops. And they didn't go very far. And they stopped. They had a little conference. They turned around and went back to the government building. They arrested the dictator and his wife, and I think it was one of his sidekicks. They arrested them. They had a military tribunal trial, and they took them out behind the building up against a wall and had a firing squad kill them, and it was in worldwide television. I'm sure you saw it on television,
yes,
just like I did.